When I think about the PS4 controller, the first thing that comes to mind is iconic and nostalgic. It's the feeling you get when you come home from a long day at work, ready to game and relax with your favourite title, whether that be The Sims or Spider-Man, with the latter being such a classic, and I highly recommend you playing it if you haven't already. When it comes to the PS4 controller, it feels minimalistic and well balanced. After hours of gaming, you can easily forget it's there, because it feels like an extension of your hand, this being something that Nintendo has struggled to replicate in their own designs. The controllers I own have lasted me around about 3 years, and if you was to ask me how well have they held up, I would say impressively well. As long as you take care of them and don't toss them around the room, you'd be totally fine. The controller has 19 buttons in total, including an L1, L2, R1, R2, and those are all on the front side of the controller. You also get, on top of the controller, the share and option buttons, with those being combined with the D-pad, the triangle, the X, the circle, and the square button. You also have the touchpad, the PlayStation button, and the reset button underneath the controller. The last button, the reset button, is particularly helpful if you encounter issues like software glitches, stick drift, connectivity problems, firmware update errors, or charging failures. With the reset button, this can be a lifesaver, as all you need to do is press the button for 3 seconds to be able to reset your controller to its default settings. When I first got the PS4 controller in 2020, there were 2 features that stood out to me more than the others, and those were the light bar and the front firing built-in speaker on the controller. And honestly, I didn't even realize the speaker was there. It was like I was playing a game, and then all of a sudden my controller started ringing, and that was so trippy because I thought I was tripping out for a moment, and it helps to add that extra level of immersion, something that the likes of Xbox and Nintendo has failed to replicate. The LED strip on the PS4 controller is equally impressive, but also it can be considered as a double-edged sword. And this is because during the day it can feel too dim, and during the night it can get too bright, and you'll notice it more often. And this can be distracting for players who like to game in the dark, like me. Thankfully, PlayStation has released a firmware update, allowing you to adjust the brightness of the LED strip, so you won't get flashbang during the night. Subscribe, bitch! If you've never owned a PlayStation before, you're missing out on the nostalgia and the capabilities of the PS4 controller, especially if you haven't played Astro's Playroom, which showcases its full potential. One standout feature is the motion sensors, which allow you to move the controller in 3D space to interact with games or selected text. And while it's a fun gimmick at first, I quickly found that it was impractical for regular use. It requires precision, which can be frustrating, especially if you're tired or, let's be honest, drunk. The touchpad, on the other hand, I use far more often, particularly when it comes to connecting the controller to my phone. For example, if I set up a game and I don't want to touch my phone, I can use the touchpad to navigate. However, on PlayStation, it's less intuitive. Selecting text with the touchpad feels cumbersome, as pressing down can slightly move the cursor, making it harder to pinpoint or select the correct text. There are 2 iterations of the PS4 controller, version 1 and version 2. To determine which one you have, check the light bar. If you can see an LED strip on top of the touchpad, you own version 2. If not, then it's version 1. The differences between the 2 are significant, and that's where the jump from version 1 and version 2 comes in. And if you own a version 1 controller, I definitely recommend making the upgrade to version 2. The first improvement you see is battery life. With version 2, you have improved battery life, letting you game for longer on a single charge. You also get more durable analog sticks. The rubber on the sticks wear down much slower compared to version 1. You also get trigger improvements as well, better durability for extended use. And lastly, you get something called USB communication. This reduces latency by allowing wide-only communication while charging, which improves response times. One standout feature of this controller was the aux port at the bottom of the controller, which was mind-blowing for me at the time, as I came directly from the Xbox 360. It allows a mostly wireless experience with the headphones, providing exceptional sound quality. When I played The Amazing Spider-Man, the audio mastering and the soundtrack was so immersive that I found myself in tears during Aunt May's final moments. And I will say, yes, the Xbox controller does the same thing, and for some, they may not even notice a difference, but through my ears, I notice a slight difference. I feel like with the Xbox controller, you have to pay for that extra clarity, and with that extra clarity, it does give the PS4 controller a run for its money. However, you also have to pay a subscription service. To take advantage of what this controller has to offer, you'd have to pay, which I simply don't find worth it. However, one downside of the PS4 controller is stick drift. Out of the 3 controllers I own, 2 of them have minor stick drift issues. While I've mitigated the problem in Fortnite enabling stick dead zone settings, it's still annoying. However, considering these controllers have lasted me 3 years and have endured significant use, I can't complain too much. So after this entire video, what is my conclusion? My conclusion is this is a solid controller, and this controller will be around for many years to come. And even if it means that the PS4 controller expires, this controller will still be well used with the PS5, as for some, this is what's nostalgic. For others, this is the cheapest option available. The PS4 controller, in my opinion, is perfect. You can't go wrong with it. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. While for others, like me, they may not be a fan of the PS5's bigger exterior. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. And my latest video is here. And the one I recommend you, because I know you, is here. So, go on, watch it. And I'll see you in the next one. Go on, click it, click it, click.